A tremor ran through the Force, a discordant note in the cosmic symphony. It began subtly, a whisper at the edge of perception. But it grew, this unsettling presence, spreading like a virus through the galaxy. On remote worlds, Force users shivered, a sense of dread gripping their hearts. Visions, dark and terrible, invaded their dreams. Visions of a monstrous entity, writhing, consuming, its voice a chorus of screams and whispers. The Jedi Council, ever vigilant, felt the disturbance. Their attempts to pinpoint its source proved fruitless, leaving them with a chilling certainty. Something wicked this way comes. Meanwhile, deep within the unknown regions, on a planet shrouded in perpetual twilight, the being known as Abeloth stirred. Now, fueled by the dark emotions of a galaxy on the brink of war, Abeloth was breaking free. Once long ago, Abeloth hadn't been a creature of darkness. She was known as the Servant, a being of pure Force energy, tasked with maintaining balance within the celestial realm. She served alongside the Ones, powerful beings who embodied the light and dark sides of the Force, but the power she wielded, the constant exposure to the Force, began to twist her. Driven by her warped love, she drank from this font of power, hoping to make herself worthy of their regard. The Force, meant to be balanced, rejected her. It twisted her form, warped her mind, transforming her from the graceful servant into the monstrous Abeloth. Banished from the celestial realm, she was imprisoned on a remote world, her rage and despair festering over millennia. Now, free from her prison, Abeloth sought revenge against the Force that had rejected her, and against the galaxy that had forgotten her. The whispers in the Force grew stronger, evolving from a disquieting murmur into a chorus of madness. Jedi across the galaxy found themselves plagued by nightmares, their meditations interrupted by visions of fear and despair. Jacen Solo, once a beacon of hope for the Jedi Order, had succumbed to the darkness, becoming the Sith Lord Darth Caedus. His fall sent shockwaves through the Force, ripples that Abeloth used to her advantage. She whispered to the vulnerable, feeding their doubts, amplifying their fears, subtly guiding them toward the path of darkness. Luke Skywalker, Grand Master of the new Jedi Order, felt the growing darkness with growing unease. The Force, normally a source of peace and guidance, now felt cold, alien. His nephew's fall weighed heavily on him, and he desperately sought answers. Guided by fragmented visions and a growing sense of dread, Luke began a quest to unravel the mystery behind his nephew's fall. His journey led him to ancient Jedi texts, long-forgotten lore that spoke of a being of immense power, a creature born of the Force itself, Abeloth. Deep within the unknown regions, hidden from the eyes of the galaxy, lay the planet Dromund Kaas, home to the Lost Tribe of Sith. Stranded for centuries, cut off from the Force, they had clawed their way back into its embrace, their connection fueled by a desperate hunger for power. It was in their moment of weakness that Abeloth found them. She appeared to their leader, Darth Krayt, a vision of power and forbidden knowledge. She promised him dominion over the Force, the ability to finally crush their enemies and claim their rightful place as rulers of the galaxy. In return, she demanded only one thing: their servitude. Krayt, consumed by his ambition, readily agreed. With the Lost Tribe under her sway, Abeloth had gained a foothold in the galaxy. Abeloth's influence spread like a virus, subtly at first, then, with increasing intensity. She preyed on the vulnerable, amplifying existing tensions, sowing seeds of discord and mistrust. The Galactic Alliance, already weakened by internal strife and the threat of the resurgent Sith, found itself teetering on the brink of collapse. Senators, once staunch allies, turned on each other, their minds clouded by Abeloth's whispers. Policies were enacted that benefited no one, driven by paranoia and fear. The once proud government descended into chaos, a testament to Abeloth's growing power. Meanwhile, Abeloth used her newfound power to manipulate events from the shadows. She orchestrated conflicts, sabotaged peace talks, and fueled the flames of war. The galaxy, once a beacon of civilization, was rapidly descending into darkness, its people caught in a web of manipulation and fear. Luke Skywalker, guided by his visions and the fragments of ancient lore, finally discovered the source of the growing darkness: Abeloth. He knew that confronting her directly would be futile. Her power was too great, her influence too pervasive. To defeat her, he would need to fight her On a different plane of existence, a metaphysical battleground where the lines between reality and illusion blurred. Gathering his closest allies, Luke journeyed to the Well of the Dark Side, a nexus of dark side energy on the Sith world of Korriban. There he intended to use the dark side's power to pierce the veil of reality and confront Abeloth on her own terms. Meanwhile, Darth Krayt, sensing Luke's plan, rallied his forces. He knew that Abeloth's defeat would mean the end of his own ambitions. He had become too reliant on her power, too deeply entrenched in her schemes. The stage was set for a confrontation unlike any the galaxy had ever seen. As Luke and his allies entered the Well of the Dark Side, they were assaulted by visions, their deepest fears and darkest desires, given form by the swirling dark side energy. But Luke, his resolve strengthened by years of training and the desperation of the situation, pressed on. He had to stop Abeloth, no matter the cost. Suddenly he sensed a presence, a familiar darkness intertwined with a flicker of reluctant respect. Darth Krayt. Their eyes met across the swirling vortex of dark side energy. For a moment, their millennia-old conflict seemed to fade away, replaced by a shared understanding. They were both pawns in Abeloth's game, and neither of them would be free until she was vanquished. A grudging alliance formed, born of necessity and a shared enemy. They would fight together, Jedi and Sith, their combined might focused on a single purpose, the destruction of Abeloth. The ethereal realm was a swirling maelstrom of emotions, a tapestry woven from the hopes and fears of every living being in the galaxy. Abeloth resided at its center. Madness. Luke and Krayt, their minds reeling from the sensory abilities pushed to their absolute limits. Lightning crackled, lightsabers clashed against ethereal claws, the very fabric of reality groaning under the strain of their struggle. Luke remembered the Dagger of Mortis, a mystical artifact capable of killing beings who were embodiments of the Force. He called out to his son Ben, who had accompanied them to the ethereal. Ben, using his own connection to the Force, navigated the treacherous byways of the ethereal realm, guided by his father's voice and the faintest whisper of the dagger's presence. The fate of the galaxy rested on his young shoulders. Ben Skywalker, his brow creased in concentration, navigated the chaotic landscape of the ethereal realm. Visions assaulted him from all sides, seductive whispers promising power, and tempting him with glimpses of a darker path. But Ben, his connection to the Force, tempered by years of training and the legacy of his lineage, pressed on. He could sense his father and Darth Krayt locked in a desperate struggle against Abeloth, their Force presences flickering like dying stars. He knew that time was running out. Finally, after what seemed like an eternity, he sensed it, a faint hum in the Force, a pinpoint of cold, unyielding power amidst the swirling chaos, the Dagger of Mortis. It rested on a pedestal of obsidian, guarded by ethereal manifestations of Abeloth's will. His lightsaber, a blue blade of pure energy, cut through their ethereal forms like a knife through smoke. Ben raced back through the ethereal realm, the Dagger of Mortis a heavy weight in his hand. He could feel Abeloth's attention shifting towards him, her rage palpable even across the vast gulf of the ethereal plane. He had to hurry. As he approached the site of the battle, he was met with a scene of utter devastation. The ethereal landscape was scarred and broken, testament to the raw power unleashed there, and at the center of it all, barely clinging to life, were Luke Skywalker and Darth Krayt. Abeloth, her form flickering and unstable, loomed over them, her laughter echoing through the ethereal realm. But then she sensed it, the Dagger of Mortis, its power a beacon of anathema to her very being. Her laughter turned to a shriek of rage as Ben Skywalker, his face a mask of grim determination, plunged the dagger into her ethereal form. The echoes of the battle in the ethereal realm reverberated throughout the Force. The whispers that had plagued Jedi and Sith alike faded, replaced by a tentative silence. The galaxy, still reeling from the chaos Abeloth had unleashed, began the long process of healing. Luke Skywalker, his body bearing the scars of his encounter with Abeloth, knew that the victory had come at a heavy price. Darth Krayt, mortally wounded, had used the last of his strength to shield Luke from the full force of Abeloth's death throes. The Dagger of Mortis, its purpose served, was locked away in a hidden Jedi vault, a reminder of the power it held and the threat it represented. For even in death, Abeloth's shadow lingered. The ancient text spoke of her ability to return, her essence reborn in a new form, fueled by the chaos and darkness that lurked in the hearts of all living beings. The galaxy had been given a reprieve, a chance to rebuild and recover. But the threat remained, a silent promise hanging over the future. Abeloth, the bringer of chaos, would return.